What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Jezebel Show. I am going to do a video on Aaliyah Cameron. This is yet another situation of a child being murdered by the mother's boyfriend. Aaliyah Cameron was a 3-year-old little girl in the city of Las Vegas, and her mother's 21-year-old boyfriend killed the 3-year-old while the mom was at work. So I am going to read you guys, for the ones who are not updated on this story. This happened on May the 25th, and I'm going to just read through the article that was posted by the Las Vegas News. So, again, the baby's name is Aaliyah Cameron. According to the police, a 3-year-old girl was killed over the weekend in East Las Vegas with the mother's boyfriend in custody. Officers received a call to an apartment complex just after 7 p.m. on May 25th. The child, identified by the family as Aaliyah Cameron, was transported to the University Medical Center and was pronounced deceased. A coroner's report said Aaliyah died from multiple blunt force injuries, with her death ruled a homicide. Police questioned Aaliyah's mother's boyfriend, 21-year-old Denaugio Scarlett, who they say were the sole caretaker of the child at the time, then arrested him under suspicion of murder and child abuse / neglect. Aaliyah's father and stepmother said she had celebrated her 3rd birthday. They said she was a happy baby who loved Minnie Mouse and her little sister, and they want answers. Nobody knows what happened to my daughter. This is the father. The father's name is Yashmeem Cameron. All I want is justice for my daughter and peace, said Yashmeem. Cameron said that there was a past incident in 2017 where the child suffered injuries to the head while in the care of the mother, and he was upset with authorities for not investigating that situation further and creating a harsher punishment for the mom. Now, this is a case where the father actually went through the court process to try to get custody of his daughter, and the system failed him. According to the mother, name is Malaysia Daniels. She left her 3-year-old daughter with her boyfriend, her 21-year-old boyfriend, Denaugio, while she went to work. When she got home from work, she asked him, and I watched the video on YouTube. You guys can go check out the video, the news clip from the mother. She asked him how her daughter was doing, and he said she was in the room asleep. When she went in the room to check on her baby, she found her daughter unresponsive, and she dialed 911. Now, according to him, he threw the baby on the ground. This is what he stated. However, the medical report shows multiple blunt force injuries to the child's head. So that meant he beat this 3-year-old daughter. Once again, this case has a lot of similarities to the Aaliyah Davis case, with the simple fact that this is another mother leaving their child with the man who obviously do not like kids, who do not want to be bothered with children, and he beat this baby to death. He is locked up. He was arrested the same day, and he actually admitted to hurting the little girl, which he just simply stated that he threw her on the ground. He didn't say he beat her. He actually beat her because she was crying too much. So he beat this child to death. Here's the thing that really bothers me about this case, because in this situation, this father is hurt. He's grieving. He went through the proper channels to get full custody of his daughter, and the state failed him. For one, in November of 2017, and this is court documented, Aaliyah Cameron had a head injury, and she was in critical condition at the age of 1. The system allowed the mother to go through classes to get the daughter back, and the judge granted both parents joint custody, with the mother being the primary caretaker of the child. And there's also a video of the father, Yashmeem Cameron, on YouTube stating that they should have never allowed his daughter to go back home with the mother after the first incident. And I totally agree with him. The little girl should have never been allowed to go back home with the mother if at 1 year old, this baby had already suffered a head injury and was in critical condition. There's no way the state should have allowed Malaysia Daniels to have primary custody. Now, this Yashmeem Cameron is actually a father that the system did fail. That he actually went through the appropriate channels to get custody of his daughter, and they denied him full custody, giving him joint custody, and still allowing the mother to have 50% rights to the daughter as well. However, the mother shouldn't have never been allowed to take the daughter back home. She should have been given some type of supervised visitations, and the father made a valid point. After one injury to a child, your parental rights should be terminated. Even if, I think in Malaysia's Daniel case, they didn't find where it was something intentional or whatever the case may be. They allowed her to take these parenting classes. They gave her the child back, and since 2017, there wasn't any other incidents until she allowed a man, Denaugio, to watch her daughter while she went to work. And I don't even think she had been in a relationship with the guy. He was only 21 years old for a year. So I think they had been together 11 months. There's a video clip out on YouTube where she's saying that, you know, she's getting a lot of support, but she's getting a lot of backlash because she didn't know that he was a bad person. He never showed her any signs of anger. He never showed her that he didn't like children. He was never a mean guy, but at the end of the day, you left your 3-year-old daughter with him. He said the child was screaming and crying, and he just wanted her to shut up. So he beat her in the head, and he ended up killing this baby. And the father has every right to sue the state because this man went through the appropriate channels, and there are court documents showing that, and they also talk about it in the news clip. There are court documents showing that Yashmeem Cameron actually tried to get full custody of his daughter, and this is a case where the state actually failed them. The similarities with Aaliyah Cameron and Malaysia Davis, they both were murdered, well, allegedly with Darion Vance, because he hasn't been convicted, but with Denaugio Scarlett, he actually admitted he was the only person left with the child. So it's not a case where they're trying to figure out what actually happened to the baby. It's just the case of what kind of time they're actually going to give him. Women getting with these men that they don't know anything about, that's kind of the similarities. The same situation where a mother leaves her daughter with a man that end up killing your child. And I know there's been a lot of back and forth just on the Aaliyah Davis case with Craig Davis, and people are saying that he tried to get custody. If he would have tried to get custody of Malaysia, there would be some type of court documents, the same with Yashmeem Cameron. There are court documents showing Yashmeem Cameron actually filing for custody of his daughter, going through the entire process, and the state failed this man. The state failed this man. They did not give him full custody of his daughter. They still allowed the mother to have the same rights even after the 2017 incident that had the baby in critical condition at a year old. They still allowed this woman to have custody when the father was working. He had his own place. He's married. He has another daughter. So when he would get his daughter, she had a place to go. This is a father that actually went through the appropriate channels to get his daughter, and the system failed him. And he is correct. I commend Yashmeem Cameron, for fighting for his daughter from the first incident. From the age of 1 year old, he went through the proper channels. He went through the proper channels to try to gain custody of his daughter after the first abuse allegation, after the first time the baby was hurt in the mother's custody, Malaysia Daniels. The system failed him. Now, this is a situation where the system failed him. There was another case, I don't know if you guys is familiar with Aaliyah Day. Her father, right before they had a custody hearing, the baby ended up dying. But he was another father that went through the appropriate channels to try to gain custody of his daughter, and the system failed him. So there are so many situations where fathers are actually going through the process, filing the correct documentation, making sure they have a place for their children to come, working hard every day, going through the proper channels to get custody of their kids, and the system is failing them. I mean, I don't know. I know in the Aaliyah Davis case, there aren't any court documents to show that Craig Davis actually tried to get custody of his daughter. In Yashmeem Cameron case, the news clip even talks about the whole custody situation and how he lost the case. They did not award him full custody, and he has every right to sue the state. He has every right to fight for laws, and I will sign whatever petition. If your child is hurt the first time, your rights should be terminated. It shouldn't be a second time. We're gonna give you another chance. You go through all these classes, like Malaysia Daniels stated. She went through all the classes she needed to go through, and she got her daughter back. And I think the first incident that happened in 2017, when Aaliyah Cameron was only a year old, Denaugio was not involved. I don't think she had been in a relationship. So this was strictly on the mother. This was an allegation just against her. So the biological father has every right to try and get a law passed, because this is a father that actually went through the appropriate channels and the system failed him. And it's sad that fathers are fighting for their children and the court is still allowing mothers who are abusing the kids or leaving the kids in bad situations, because I don't know how many times prior the mother had allowed her boyfriend to watch her daughter, but it's obvious she didn't know anything about him. He's 21 years old. You leaving your 3-year-old daughter with somebody that you've only been dating or, cohabitating with for about 3 months, and this man end up killing your child. I'm sure she's hurt. But I think women need to think about the choices that they make, because just this year alone, and I am going to go through and double check, just this year alone, I'm actually going to do a video on the number of children that are killed at the hands of the mom's boyfriend. And 11 months is not a lot of time to have a man around your children. If you don't really know this person, you don't know how they feel about kids, you're not watching their behavior. Now, this situation, Malaysia Daniels didn't know the man. I mean, in her defense, this is what she stated. She never saw any signs of anger, and he wasn't abusive to her daughter. Like, she got home to find her baby deceased after a long day of work. And he got mad at the child because he probably was on the game or doing whatever young 21-year-olds do. And the little girl wouldn't be quiet because ain't no telling what was going on in the house. So he beat the girl. And he multiple blunt force trauma. So he hit her more than 1 or 2 times and ended up killing the girl. But the one thing he did do, he didn't run. He was there when she got off. Maybe he thought he just knocked the little girl out, but she died. And he admitted he know he hurt the child. He know this is what he did. So all I can say for women who are dating, for women who have children, use caution. Get to know these men, and the same with men, because there's also a case in Las Vegas where I cannot think of the name of the child, where the father's girlfriend killed his daughter. I think she poured boiling water on her. And men and women need to use caution. You need to make sure that these people that you have around your kids have their best interests at heart. And I really feel bad for Yashmeem Cameron, because this man actually tried from the beginning, from a year old, from the time the baby got her first injury. He filed documents to try to get custody of his daughter, and the system failed him. And he's right. None of this would have never happened if they would have terminated Malaysia Daniels' rights, because it was obvious she didn't make good choices. I don't know her age, but I'm sure she was young. I know Denaugio Scarlett was only 21 years old. She didn't make good choices as a mother. And she had already had an incident where her daughter had a serious injury that put her in critical condition at a year old. And all the state did was give her a pat on the wrist, send her to these classes, told her they'll help her with whatever she needs to get back on track. and they put the child back in the home with the mother, and the father stated he had just saw his daughter and she was fine. Like, she was happy, she was excited, she was a really loving kid, and his heart is broken, you know. And my heart goes out to him because he did exactly what he was supposed to do. And we got to start holding the system accountable. I mean, there has to be some type of harsh punishment for these caseworkers, these management teams, and the people that work in DFAC, CPS. They need to start facing charges. There's the little girl, what was her name? The Tiffany Moss trial. That little girl suffered, and DFACS failed that little girl. I mean, the stepmother was starving her to death. The biological father was allowing the stepmother to starve her because she hated the little girl. And no matter how many times DFACS got involved, they still didn't help this child. So somebody has to be held accountable other than the mother and the father. I mean, the state needs to be held accountable for allowing these kids to go back to the same environment that put them in a bad situation. I mean, a 1-year-old in critical condition with a head injury. Come on now. Why does she need to go back home with her mother? I really hope and pray that Yashmeem gets some kind of financial compensation. That laws will be changed for his daughter, where if a biological parent cause any type of harm or put the child in harm's way, that their rights are terminated off the rip. There is no second chance. Because there's way too many situations where children are dying in their own parents' custody or in the spouse or the boyfriend / girlfriend custody. There are way too many cases, and I was reading an article on how there has been an increase in the number of deaths just being at home with your parents or your parents' boyfriend or girlfriend. So they really do need to change the laws. I am going to play this clip for those of you who is not familiar with this case.
When given to developing tonight, a 3-year-old girl is dead. Her death ruled a homicide. And new tonight, the baby's father saying a past incident should have been taken more seriously. 13 Action News reporter Leah Pizzetti is live with the father's call for accountability tonight. Leah.
That's right. The baby's father and stepmother say that she was in perfect health when they handed her off to her mother for the weekend. Then just 24 hours later, authorities were called to this apartment complex over here, and the child was pronounced dead. Friday evening, 3-year-old Aaliyah Cameron was fine when given to her mother for the weekend. Just a day later, Aaliyah was dead. Her death ruled a homicide, her mother's boyfriend in custody on suspicion of murder and child abuse.
We had plans for the summer. She was excited. She was happy. And it's just crazy how someone so evil, people so evil, someone who's supposed to protect her didn't protect her.
Aaliyah's father, Yashmeem, and his wife, Denaugio, say this isn't the first time there was an incident while Aaliyah was in her mother's care. Documents show Aaliyah, age 1, has a serious head injury and is in critical condition in 2017. Yashmeem claims something happened while Aaliyah was in her mother's care, but the documents later go on to say there is no explanation as to how the child sustained the internal brain bleed. Yashmeem says if authorities had taken that first incident more seriously, this weekend's tragedy might not have happened and he would still have his little girl. So he's vowing to make change.
Now my princess is in this funeral home dead. She's dead. It's not fake. This is real. This is real. Y'all need to wake up. This need to be a new law. When y'all do something to y'all kid, first time is done. Your parenting rights is over with.
Now, Yashmeem has said that he's made it his...
I agree with the father on that. I mean, after the first time, your parenting rights should be over with. And there's another video out there where the father, maybe it's an extended version of what I just played. The baby's head is so busted that I don't think they can have an open casket. They can't put her hair in a ponytail. So according to the injuries, based on what the father and the stepmother stated, I think her name is Denaugio, is that the child head is pretty much just busted open. Like they won't be able to comb her hair and to put it in a ponytail. The casket won't be open. Like everything is busted out of her head. So I don't understand how the boyfriend thought she was asleep. So the entire time the mom was at work, nobody knows exactly what time the incident occurred, because by the time the mom got home after 7, she was already hurt and in the bed, and he said she was just in there asleep. The mom go in the room, her whole head is busted open. So this man was angry. He had to hate the little girl, and he wanted to make sure he shut her up forever. And I'm not sure what he was thinking about. Was he thinking that the mom was not going to call the police on him or dial 911 to get the baby some help? He just continued doing whatever he was doing. What did he think was going to happen? Like, he really wanted this little girl to never cry again. And I do believe that the mother needs to be charged. I mean, you got to start holding these people accountable for their actions. I do believe that the mother also needs to be charged, not just the boyfriend. The mom needs to be charged, although she was at work. The fact that you left your child in harm's way, you need to be charged. Again, this is the Aaliyah Cameron's case. This situation occurred on May the 25th. The father's name is Yashmeem Cameron. The biological mother is Malaysia Daniels. And the boyfriend name is Denaugio Scarlett. If you guys want to do question and answer live on tomorrow on all of these different cases, just kind of comment on this video and let me know if y'all want to have an open dialogue on this case, the Malaysia Davis case, and several other cases. I am going to come back tomorrow with another video on another child that that's deceased because of a spouse. And please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button to my videos. And once again, thank you for watching the Jezebel Show. You guys have a great night.